to, this is who he was, who his soul. The first thing was, my father was makasher to the Rebbe, v'leiv nefesh. There was nothing that could get in the way of that. Every decision that he did, anything he did was based on that. Will it bring me closer, or God forbid the other thing? That was the ultimate to him. Another thing my father had was no vanity. There was zero vanity. Everything was very, very serious. He went around with energy and smiling at everybody, saying a little joke. It was all in order to enable to lift them up. There was never a Shabbos meal. You would come around the meal and talk about the politics. It never happened. It happens in my house. That's all we talk about. No, God forbid. But there's the only thing there was zero vanity. Zero. To the point where if during the meal Friday night we didn't finish the Kfar Chabad cover to cover, my father would restart it the next day. The whole thing. Actually, my father had every Kfar Chabad saved from the first one, from the original one. He had binders and things, quite an amazing thing. There's zero vanity in my father's life. But at the same time, he was always truly happy, always lifting somebody else up. One time a lady approached my father during the week and said, please, make sure my husband says l'chaim on Shabbos by the farbreng. I was like, say l'chaim? This is an interesting request. So she said, yeah, every time my husband says l'chaim by the farbreng, he comes home in a great mood. So even when you give it a little l'chaim and you give him a little extra, you should just know you're helping somebody shalom bayis. It depends. It depends who. But one interesting thing, and I'll finish off with this. I don't want to take away Rabbi Munshine's full speech here that he's going to be giving soon. While my father went through a lot of challenges the last couple of years, extreme, a lot of physical challenges, he never once complained, Eibishter, why are you giving this to me? Why me? Eibishter, I'm in pain. My father would sit there winching in pain until somebody would say, Todd, can we give you some pain medicine? Then I'll take it. He would never, ever open his mouth and ever complain to the Eibishter, why me? For us, why do I have this pain? And it's really a great lesson of a core, of a person who truly believes in true emunah. This is what the Eibishter wants. For whatever reason, this is what has to happen. L'chaim, l'chaim. If my father knew that everybody was here gathered and fussing about him, he would not be so happy. The only way he would justify is if everybody would say l'chaim in this room. So l'chaim, l'chaim. Rabbi Munch had a little l'chaim, including the woman, l'chaim.
Chaim, l'chaim. As Rabbi Baruch just said, he reminded me, so a young man in Pittsburgh, about 2 years ago, he went some health challenges. And mein Schwer sees him in the street. Er sagt ihm, gesund! He hat ihm gegeben gesund. Hat gelitten sehr stark in einem Kuffer. Aber hat ihm gegeben gesund, weil das ist gewesen sein Leben. Er hat ihm gesagt, Heile Hachis, machen jenem Tag gesund, sein gesund und macht jenem Leben in vollem Most. Und jetzt beten unser Vater, der Schwager von Rabbi Itkin, auf Schleime Tachtel, zu sagen, ein paar Worte.
Chaim l'chaim, da folgen Chachamim, Bishus Gisi Agodol, Tarti Mashma, Chaim. Das ganze Wort ist in der Siche von einige Woche, der Rebbe lehrt wegen, als jede Sache kommt von Teire. Und in Teire allein heet es an von der Anheb auf der Teire, und Heinz halte mir an Parshas Vayechi. Und der Rebbe sagt, als viele in Anheb von dem Teire, geht man zu der ersten Wort von der Teire. Und der erste Wort von der Teire geht nun zu der erste Os von dem Teire. Und da bringt der alte Rebbe Sach, wegen mit darf leben mit der Zeit. Und gleich der Pasche hebt sich an, Itkin Yahrtzait be'eretz Mitzrayim 17 Shono, ויהיו ימי יעקב 47 Shono. Der Rebbe fragt dort kama Scheiles. Ein Scheile, für was darf man sagen, als hat gelebt 17 Jahre. Wir wissen, als wenn ist gekommen zu Pauli, hat gesagt, wenn mehr als 30 Shono anochi. Und es steht, bei Yemei Yaakov, 47 Shono. Weiß man, als 17 Jahre alt gewesen, was darf man das sagen? Und noch eine Sache, Jakob, der Tzemach-Tzedek ist gekommen nach Hause, wenn hat gelernt, als der Teire sagt, Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim 17 Shono, also hat die 17 Shono sind gewesen die beste Jahre in seinem Leben. Ist der Tzemach-Tzedek hat es gelernt, ist gekommen nach Hause und hat gefragt, der alte Rebbe, wie kann sein, dass ihn sagt? Yaakov Avinu, Bachor שבאובייס, alle Jahren hat gelebt, wie Menucha nicht unter Agolus Mitzrayim, wie das gewesen, was Haaretz, und hat gelernt Teves, und die beste Jahre sind gewesen in Eretz Mitzrayim. Und dann hat gesagt, als sein Ding in Eretz Mitzrayim hat Jakob geschickt Jehuda zu machen dort eine Yeshiva, was das ist die größte Nachas von Jakob, weil der Name Jakob wird gefällt. Jud, wissen alle, das ist, sag mal, Azelus, und der andere Part von der Wort ist Ekev, das ist die Tachten, ein Tachten der Mathe im Männer. Jakob hat gewollt, als nicht nur sein Ding in Elam Atzilus, und dann hat der Eibischter genug Malachim, aber erbringen dort den Mato, es soll sein, der Elam Atzilus soll weiten der Mato. Da sagt, als der Fall ist Jakobs Chayus die beste 17 Jahre gewesen in Mitzrayim. Was aber für ist, der Rohr von dem, als man darf wissen, es ist nicht genug, am lernen, und man tut alle gute Sachen, und man hat Geschmack lernen, aber man darf rausgehen in die Welt und machen dort, das ist der Chayes, was der Eibischter will. Und das ist bei Eifing Klali Vayechi. Und der Rebbe sagt, vor allem da noch eine Sache. Der Rebbe kennt auch, Jakob ist gewähnt, und hat es mit Zeit. Aber der Loschen Vayechi meint, dass viele mit tut das, aber mit tut das ohne Chayes. Mit tut, mit Tage, mit Land, mit geht in die Welt, mit bei der Welt, mit Kirche Welt. Aber sie ohne Chayes, geht es gar nicht. Meile, der Schgacherpartys, die Yartzait, mein Schwager, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, das ist ein Ischchai, der Feier Mamesh, wo gerät wegen seiner Simcha. Jeder einer weiß von sich, kam Dugmois, wie hat mit Kabel gewinnt, jeder einer, Simcha, sie gewähren vor allem wichtig machen, als Zweiter soll sein, mit der Chayes und mit der Geschmack. Und das ist der Punkt, seine Yartzait, wo das ist sie Avidosoi, asher ovad bo kol yemei chayo. Das Punkt in die Parche, Vayechi, Rabbi ist Mamshich, als es steht Vayechi, mit Avov, was Vov ist weiß, dass noch eine Sofa, also viele sie fahren Chayes, darf man auch noch Chayes, Miuchedes und Botis. alle von die alle Sachen ist mamisch bei Schkocha Pratis Leben mit der Zeit, was ihm zu das, was Schwager Yitzchak Shalom ist gewähnt. Der Chayit in der Liboy, hört mir erzählt einmal am Meister, was Muslime sieht als zwischen Chassidim, die gar nicht mechadisch, weiß man das. Aber der Meister ist mir rausgekommen zu sagen, bekam, ist jeder einer, was sagt das. Es der nimmt wegen die zwei Schutfim, das einer ist gewähnt ein bisschen mehr aber der Boss, sind gekommen allemal sie kommen nach Jerid, sind sie gefahren dahin, und der Seiler ist gewähnt, als der Balabas hat geschickt die zweite Schute, gegen Reisklein in die Sachen. Und bemäßig 2 Wochen hat alles geklimmt und gelassen wissen sein Schute. Und hat beschlossen, einmal ist gefahren, sie ist vorbeigegangen in 2 Wochen, 3 Wochen, 4 Wochen, hält gar nicht von ihm. Und hat ein bisschen nicht gewähnt, bequem wegen dem, weil er hat gerne Sachgeld. Und Geld ist nicht gewähnt, seine Geld dafür. Aber was der kann tun? Es ist gegangen 8 Wochen und nach 8 Wochen hat er gehabt, Acholem. Sein Schütter kommt zu ihm. Und er sagt ihm, du wunderst auch, wo ich bin. Ich will das wissen. Als noch ein paar Tage, noch ein wegfahren, er ist gewähnt, gezwungen in einer Städtel. Es gewähnt in Schulden. Er ist geworden nicht gut und er ist weg vom Welt. Keiner hat ihn nicht gekannt, aber er ist gewähnt ein Jid. Hat man gelegt in Beisachheim. Nach dem, was man gelegt hat, und ist gewähnt, als er ihn farbrengen, war die Historie. Als bald kommt Jütes Kissler, das ist gewähnt noch einer der alte Rebbe Jütes Kissler, Magid Yartzait, und der Magid kommt, an dem Tag kommt zu alle Besalmins. Und jeder einer, was hat gehabt, der Scheiches zu ihm, sagt jetzt, ich habe gerade auf Jiddisch, so das sei doch. Should I change? Yeah. Should I start from the beginning? Everyone that had a connection to the Magid is coming and he is calling, come with me. So, Yiddish Kislev came, it became the whole king in the Beiselom, a ganze Kibuder, and the Magid is coming, come, and he's coming to him and is telling him, come. He didn't know why. He had no shliach to the Magid. No shliach. Of course, he was very happy, but and he followed the Magid. Magid is took them in, took in his Hershel, and we understand what happened there. But he was very scared. He was hiding in the corner. He was afraid. He doesn't belong there. But he will tell him goodbye. So he was hiding, but he knew it's Elam Mohammed. He couldn't understand it. 8 weeks he was hiding there. After 8 weeks, nobody's telling him to leave. So he decided it's not a mistake. Came to the Magid. He said, Rebbe, thank you. But why? I had no shaykhs to you. So the Magid told him, listen, I'm telling you, listen. My son, you think that you didn't have a shaykhs for me. But when your mother was pregnant with you, she came to ask for a bracha. And that was enough to create a shaykhs lo netzach. So we, Chassidim, we have to be smart and to know not only that the mother came to ask for a bracha, even though that everyone yoda inish benafshe what they have to do, maybe some people here don't have to do anything, but everyone is with the Rebbe. More correct to say, the Rebbe is with everyone. And as Gochapotis, but the Seide of Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, it happened with Poel Mamish. His Seide, my Schwester, Meir Itkin's Pfeffer, he was beaten very bad on Friday by Goyim, and it was so bad that he was in Starlight. He passed away. That was Friday night. Friday night, the Schwedish Nissen Tofresh Pay, which is one night before the Stalkers from the Rebbe Rashab. And that same year, they couldn't make the Levaya on Friday night, so they made it on Motzei Shabbos, and that was in Neville. And that Motzei Shabbos was the Stalkers of the Rebbe Rashab. And in those years, it took a very long time to know about it. People would leave in a stall, in a Neville, in a few weeks probably to find out. So his Levaya, Shwager Seder, was about 2 hours before the Rebbe Rashab's. In the middle of the Shiva, he's coming in Holland to his wife, and she's telling him, what? You're here already? Finished already with everything? So he said, I came to pick up my Shabbos clothes. The Rebbe is gekommen and he's taking us. So he's coming and he's taking us. They did not know about it then. So this is a Maise Shohoyo in our crowd. So, das Gochapot is, this is a story that we call him feature. Shane Chibo told me, and it's a story that is choidel. Today, nobody needs Morris rules about his kashrus to the Rebbe, and we know what it means, hopefully. But happened to be, like I said before, many places that they said this story, and it is reingegangen in choidel gewinn b'chol ha'atzonos. Chaim levracha, Kitzu v'arim l'shich ne'afal, in der höchste Zeit, sagt der Rebbe, Vehu b'seicham, und da verbringen, soll seine verbringen, mit Mashiach Tzidkeinu und mit dem Chaim.
Shekach. So without further ado, Schwager, David Yunik, please come share a few words.
L'chaim, everyone. I actually had a Dvar Torah prepared, but it just got taken away from me. So I'll have to wing it now to see what else I can come up with. It's pretty incredible. First of all, L'chaim. It's pretty incredible that we're here now, a year later, and even to think that, to say that Fitcher is not here anymore, it doesn't even make sense. Sometimes you have, certain people that pass away and it's terrible, but you think that sometimes there are certain exceptions to the rules, where there's certain people that are just larger than life, people that are so needed in this world, people that have made such an impact to their families, their communities, and to their friends. And Fitcher was one of those people. And for me, when I think about Fitcher, he came into my life when I was 10 years old, so I was a little kid. So he was a sibling to me. And it's for that reason that it was very difficult, when all this took place, or even when I first heard that Fitcher was not well. And I have incredible memories of Fitcher throughout the years. And we all have the obvious descriptions of Fitcha, is happy, always uplifts people and so forth. It's incredible with Fitcha that he's had a tremendous amount of respect from my parents, specifically my father, and he always appreciated my father's, where he came from, Beis Harav. He always spent as much time as possible trying to listen to stories. Fitch is someone that always farbreng and was always loud, and he was like a freight train whenever you heard Fitcha talking. But on the other hand is whenever he was around my father, Fitcha was always Kabbalah style. And he was always listening, he was always quiet. And you actually see a lot of that in Levi Munshine, his shwager as well, his son-in-law, where it's incredible the amount of information that Fitcha has absorbed. And when you look at Fitcha on what he has done in the Pittsburgh community, and before that, by the way, he was in Richmond, Virginia, for all those that who are not aware of it. He worked on the Krantz, but in Pittsburgh, he was not just a mashpia for the Bachrim. And I got to tell you, what's incredible is that when Fitcha passed away, how many Bachrim have reached out to me personally. And it's funny that I have classmates who also went through Fitcha in the system, and how Fitcha really impacted them. And it's very unusual when you find a mashpia that has really impacted a Bacher, that there's a certain amount of love that still remains. It's for that mashpia. And when you look what Fitcha has accomplished in Pittsburgh, that he was not just the mashpia of the yeshiva, but he was actually the connection that people had with their Rebbe. And without Fitcha, to these people, there would be no Rebbe, there would be no Lubavitch. He was like the hands and feet of the Rebbe's representative in Pittsburgh. And I remember that the summer before I got married, I was head counselor in Pittsburgh, and my chassan teacher was Fitcha. And I can tell you guys some of the secrets that Fitcha has taught me. They only have 4 kids, so. It's incredible that Fitcha, he's not just a mashpia, but he's also a friend. I think everybody that has interacted with Fitcha, and this includes his students, people that just bumped into him, everyone thinks that, me and Fitcha are tight. Me and Fitcha, I have that special bond. And it's when you look at Fitcha, the way he completely uplifted everyone around him is something that's extremely, something that you haven't seen. In addition to all of this, we all know about Fitcha's Chassidishkeit. First, I got to mention the respect that he had for his parents. Remember that as well. And we would sit in farbreng before the Rebbe's farbreng in his parents' house. I remember that. I just want to mention that, so Fitcha farbrenged a lot in his house every single Shabbos. And in general, he farbrenged a lot in his house. I used to ask my sister that it's not annoying just as always farbrengans. I mean, you're always like in the sidelines. And she would tell me it's so beautiful that I always sit on the side and I listen, and I'm so inspired. And she had such an appreciation for what Fitcha has done. So I talk about Chassidishkeit, right? I talk about Chassidishkeit. You guys are looking at one. Yeah, exactly. So you talk about Chassidishkeit. So I'm going to give you 2 interesting stories that kind of illustrate a little bit the way Fitcha's look, and the way it's part of his DNA. So he was my parents' house, and my brother Menachem was there with his younger kid. And Menachem tells Fitcha how his younger kid is such a tzaddik. You see what he's doing, whatever he was doing at that moment. And Fitcha said, no, he's a chassid, because if he's a chassid encompasses everything. And when Fitcha was sick, so I visited him many times, spent a lot of time with Fitcha, and I brought him a matzah of the Rebbe, And when I gave him the matzah to Rebbe, Fitch insisted on wearing a hat and jacket, wearing a kapata, his gartel, and a hat, and it was like mamish getting yechidus for Fitcher. And I think we have it on video, by the way, all of that. And every single time I came to Fitcher and I visited him, he would always follow up with a phone call, every single time. Fitcher, Master, how you doing? How's everything?
You still at work?
Yeah, no, I'm still at work, yeah, but thank God, Shabbos is coming in a couple hours, so we're all good.
When's it coming on? 7:15?
No, coming around, what's today? No, it's coming on 6:46, today's the 17th, yeah, it's 6:46. And it's right now at 4 o'clock, so, yeah, we're doing good.
Biggest you can do for everything, you know? You give a chayas and a simcha and a bamkeit. It was nice to see you, Yosef, and it was nice to see everyone, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really... By the way, that all this was March 17 of 2023. So I'm going to tell you as another side of Fitcher that all you guys don't know. And I think his friends are also probably a little bit going to be surprised to hear of it. Maybe Eichler, you tell me otherwise. But after they sold the Itkin household on Eastern Parkway, so every one of the families made a few shekel, and Fitcher invested some of the money, and I helped him invest some of the money, and he had a tremendous passion for investing. You guys have no idea how Fitcher. But I'm saying Fitcher had an incredible passion for moving money. Whenever we did a deal and then we completed and did to another one, and he was always looking, anything else going on, anything else I can put money in. And it's incredible that he had that other side part to Fitcher that I've seen a lot of it. And it was incredible, to see, the ruchnistic side of Fitcher, the other side of Fitcher. And I can tell you one thing, that with all of this, I sat down with Fitcher to talk about, when he was not well, talk about finances, and just to make sure everyone has what they need. And, Fitcher's concern was his wife, Nechama. He always wanted to make sure that she had everything she needed and that she was happy. And the other concern that Fitch always had was to marry off his two youngest daughters, which Yitzchak is going to happen very, very shortly. But that was very, very important part. Anyways, Mazel Tov. I could continue further a little bit. What was he? By the way, it's Nevuah. By the way, everything's Nevuah. By the way, I think when Fitcher sat Shiva, if you guys recall, I think Fitcher had Zechta nights ago, right? That Fitcher sat L'chaim. So I don't think Fitcher wants anyone to sit here, ba'atzvos or anything like that. There's one other thing I wanted to mention before I go. Listen, if the Varteris can go on forever, then this can also go on. Shabbat, not nice. So there's one thing that I find very different about the Itkin family, and I think everyone that knows the Itkin family, and I mean also the son-in-laws as well, is that you really see that the Itkin family, the way they live and breathe Fitcher, and the way they carry on Fitcher's legacy is something that I've not seen in any other family. And it's incredible that Fitcher adored all his son-in-laws, and I think all the son-in-laws adored Fitcher tremendously. And you even see that how much nachas they all want to give Fitcher in the last year, try to come up with ideas in order to bring Fitcher's legacy to keep it alive. And they came up with the mitzvah tank that's outside on Kingston Avenue. And it's incredible the amount of joy that it is bringing, not only to everyone here, but I'm sure Fitcher is shepherding a tremendous amount of nachas. So the only thing I can tell Fitcher is that it's time for you to go up, not go up the mileage already there already, unfortunately, but to go and make a shturim up there. And, everyone, for some reason, has not been successful, but Fitcha, a year is too long. And I hope the speakers after me will continue talking about the chrenis of Fitcha. No one wants Varteras. Varteras we can talk later on. People, do me a favor, talk to Varteras. And if men have nothing else to add, then we're going to go to the women's section. Anyways, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Shliach David. David. Thank you. Your nephews, David. Your nephews want you to share the.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all invested.
Okay. Just remember one thing. Talking about Shver, how he gave chayas to everyone, and he was involved, as we said before, in yeshiva. It wasn't just a mashpia, it was a haram, a mashpia. He taught nigle, chassidus, but he was very involved in afotzas hamayones. And wherever he went, you remember that he's a shliach. Just it's not a small incident, but it's a proof that wherever he went, he felt that he has to do shlichus. So, in one of his trips to Russia, he went to Lubavitch, which is not far from our city. And when he was there, he met a group from Babruisk who came together with the shliach. And he's like saying, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? He spoke Russian a little bit because he was involved in Pittsburgh with the Russian community. Which Baruch Hashem, made a lot of balachuvas, and for many years he dealt with them, he worked with them. So he's asking, no, was it a nomen? Like, and the guy tells him his Russian name, and he said, like, he told him, like, it's such a, he told him in Russian, whatever, it's such a shgocha pratis that we met today. And he said, well, what's it so special? He said, I came in this time, you came in this, it's something special. What's special? And basically, he convinced that guy to get a Jewish name. And short while after the Eid, made a bris. And the shliach wrote me last year after.
I forgot, they made a kula in the block of Lubavitch together.
Okay, I wasn't there, I just heard about it. Okay, so they made a kula together and they bonded together, but the guy really felt that this is he got a new friend, and with him he made a bris, and the guy became a Shema Shabbos, and he got involved very much in this community. That's just one small incident that happened with him. So we spoke before about his influence and friendship with many people throughout the years, but it's all started over here in 717, the Rebbe's Dal Damas, which he was in 770, you can say most of the time when he grew up, and he got over here many chaverim, and one of his good chaverim is our dear Reb Shalom Charitonov, we would ask to share a few words.
Chaim l'chaim, Elisa l'shome, seine gute Bette für die Mishpache, für alle seine Leute, l'chaim l'chaim. Kamen Kudus zum Malmöchten, der Scheiches zu Chalverim, es gewinnt ein Scheiches, was es nicht zusammen bechitzeni ist, nur Gedanken für ein Chaber am Zies, ich weiß, es gewinnt am Zies, es gefällt bei jenen, und es gewinnt sein Deige, und jedoch a Simche, wie das gewinnt in ganzen sein Simche. Es ist durchgenommen, es ist nicht stamm bechitzeni, es ist durchgenommen in ganzen Bechola Prote. Das ist Bescheiches zu Chaverim, den Odebier zu geführt Eichet mit anderen. In der Fotzes, Ayardus, Amanyones, die Inwasser Gata Scheiches, ist Bakelerisch, hat übergegeben Sachen, übergegeben Sachen mit dem ganzen Emes, mit dem ganzen Sturm, Sachen, Kmeische Heim, gar nicht verwassert. Es übergegeben mit dem ganzen Sturm, als wie sie seinen, und das hat zugetragen, Eichet, zur zweiten Jeden, mit der Warmkeit, mit der Lebendigkeit, gerade früher Eichet, mit der Lebendigkeit bei Eifon, das ist im ganzen Lamailem im Didewag Bollen. Ich gucke nicht auf drauf, was er gerade im ganzen Emes, Kmeishehu, Blick, Chal, Schrak, und das hat durchgenommen an jeden, das hat genommen an jeden bei Eise Eifon, als er der Nummer mit dem ganzen Sturm. Er gelebt allein mit dem ganzen Sturm, und der Bechais hat Reichet übergegeben zu anderen. Eine von den Sachen, was er mit erzählt, der Beschasser geworden nach Hossen, hat ein schwerer Berl-Junik, hat ihm gewiesen, gegeben, Aksav Juchsen, was er hat, von allen, was er von Kammer bekam, und Tzadikim, ist er Aufstand von sie. Hat er gesagt zum Schwer, der größte darf das nicht haben, der größte Jiches bei ihm ist, was ein Schwer ist, am Schabisch, Baketisch, Babrem. Und die andere Sachen, das ist ein größter Jiches. Die andere Sachen darf er nicht. Und es ist nicht gewählt, Stammkin, Pisgem, und das ist gewählt sein ganzes Leben. Er gelebt den ganzen mit den Rebbe, er gelebt den ganzen mit seinen Schliches, das ist gewählt, Kol Yemei Chayecho ist gewählt, durchführen der Rebbes Kavone, und das hat Reichet übergegeben zu anderen, mit allen Jiden, was er getroffen hat, sie. In der Handike Sedre ist der Mond früher, Vachi Yankev Eretz Mitzrayim, Schweiß Rishona, die beste Jahre von Yankev, sein Gewinn in Mitzrayim, eine von den Bejüren, wo der Rebbe sagt auf drauf, aber wie bald Yankev Sinien ist gewinn, Lakelere ist durchführend die Kavone von dem Eberschen, und wie bald ein Mitzrayim ist gewinn der Ort, wo es gemacht, Adire Leis Baruch Betachtenim, das in der Sava Kodesh Baruch Olias, Adire Betachtenim, dort durchgeführt. Der Meibestum's Kavone mit dem ganzen Sturm, mit dem größten Eifel, in Tacht, in schönen Tacht, Lamata Imenu, bemeile da sein gewesen seine beste Jahre. Seine beste Jahre von Fischer ist gewesen, was hat durchgeführt der Rebbes Kavone, und mit dem hat gelebt, und das hat Reichet übergegeben zu anderen, und hat reingebracht Warmkeit, sein Yartzait ist der Chedesh Teves. Teves ist der Chedesh Achikar. Und kalt Begashmi ist der Stalschuber, was kalt beruchten ist. Weil der Zman Akaiz ist mehr der Shemesh Avaye. Die Devil bringt das Vachais, die Gdusche, Maschenken in Zman Acherev, und der größte Kälte ist der Chedesh Teves, das die Kältkeit, was ist da im Welt. Und hat reingebracht, die Mimus von Gdusche, die Warmkeit, die Chassidishkeit mit dem ganzen Sturm, auf reinbringen, umwärmen, dem ganzen Arum, was sie da rummen. Eichet eine von den Sachen, wo steht Eichet, die Stadt eine kalte Sache, mit rein a Seichel, wo Chassidus, bringt rein eine von Chais, a viel in dem Seichel, und Nushiva das Achikar, warmt es am Mann, und das Drinje von Tchias Ameisim, Beruchnis. In der Tchias Amesim Beruchnis, was hat getan. So bringe bekare Wege zu Tchias Amesim Begashmis, wie Kitzel Vran und Sheikh Lioffer, wo beteicham, und soll sein Bepeil Mamesh, Chai.
shliach Hershel. Fine. Ich denke, wenn ich habe Gasne gehabt, hat bemächtigt die Shivas in der Mischte hat schwer vorgestellt, kommen Menschen in die Stadt, mir zu meinen Taten überschauen. Und hat gesagt, das ist meine Edith Nehmann. Das ist meine Edith Nehmann. Meine Tate hat gefragt, wie viel Edith Nehmann im Motte? Jeder eine ist ein Edith Nehmann. Aber wenn man sagt, das ist nicht gewesen, mit einer Sofa will er gut. Jeder redet, was gekommen, die hat zu tun mit ihm. Es ist gewesen Mamesh, eine ämste Freundschaft. Jedidus Nehmann. Und einer von Jedidim Nehmannim, seine damit uns, lange Jahre, sein Feind, der Meir Sheikh, und betten sagen ein paar Wörter. Aber echt nicht.
We get back to that in Yiddish, but I'm going to speak in English. I don't know where to start, so I'm going to start somewhere. When I came to learn in Aleteira, when I was about 16 years old, I came from Litvish Yeshiva, and I came for a few days. I had grown up with Lubavitcher families. My parents were shliach with Lubavitcher families. But I grew up in the Midwest, and I came to, after a long ishtalshlus, I wound up in Aleteira, because the Rubashkin family, Reb Gabriel Zolmer for Shlema, was always telling my parents that Meir belonged in Lubavitch. And when I was 16, in Take came to be that I came to Aleteira with my classmates, with Yossel, Yoska, Yoska Levin, Yossel Muchkin, Mental Volsov, Itkin, and I was the new Misnagid came to Aleteira. I think it was the first Misnagid that ever came to Aleteira. And I was very turned off. I came from the yeshiva, Nigle, a ganzen Tag, it was Musser. I mean, we were, a Litvish yeshiva. Came to Aleteira, and I've said the story, many of you have heard it, that all I heard from the first minute to the last minute, was about the Rebbe. Rebbe. And it was unending, and I was there one day, and then to top it all off, we had Reb Mendel Morozov with his gifts of speech, and we had, I'm trying to remember the name now, but we had the atmosphere was very Chassidish, and this is in Troy Avenue, in Tufshin Lamed Beis Lamed Gimel, 1972, 73. Anyway, I left. After 2 or 3 days, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I left. And I called my parents. My parents then lived in Milwaukee. Rabbi Rappaport, we were there before you, I think. You came there when? Later. 78, 79 probably. Anyway, I left, and I went to, I called my parents. I said, I can't take this. This is not for me.
And so we decided I'll go to Chavetz Chaim in Queens. I spent the Shabbos over there. It was the worst Shabbos of my life. As much as I thought Olei Torah was bad, I think thanks to Chavetz Chaim, I became a Lubavitcher person. That's another story. Anyway, in the interim, what happened was, it seems, that Rebbe Pinya, our mashpia, was farbrenging with the chavra, with the boys, with us. And he said, and he, er sagt weg, weil hat nur gesehen im Rebbe, aber hat sich gedate, hat gesagt, hat gesehen im Rebbe. So, and he couldn't take it, and this, anyway, Fitcher heard this. I literally found this out a few years ago, that Fitcher wrote a letter to the Rebbe, und hat gebeten beim Rebbe a Brache, als der Bacher, was da gewesen, und sich nicht gefunden kein Ort, and he didn't find his place. Als soll zurückkommen, and the way everybody knew Fitcher, knew he wrote it, the Levin Nefesh, and Fitcher says, und der Rebbe Taki aufgetan, because the next Monday after that Shabbos, or Sunday even, I think Sunday morning, I was back in Olei Torah, and I stayed. We spent wonderful years together as Bachrim. I just want to tell a quick story. Those of you that were alive during this time period remember there was a Vietnam War, and the war was going badly. And Fitcher and me were asked to come to downtown Brooklyn, to City Hall, the City Hall of Brooklyn, and we were supposed to register for the draft. They needed Fitcher and they needed me. They thought that they were verbessern them massive. Okay, so I had to explain to Fitcher Bechlau what the Vietnam War was. I had to explain to him the whole thing, and with the lottery system and how it works and all of this. And we got on the number 2 train at Kingston Avenue. In those years, the number 2 train was a train, not the number 3. And we went to downtown Brooklyn, and turned out that we registered, and our numbers were very, very high, meaning the higher your number was, the less chance was that you would actually be drafted. And I don't know, Fitcher got like 190, number 9, and I got like 280. Haiker, we go out, Fitcher says to me, "No, where are we at?" So I said, "Fitcher, we have nothing to worry about. We're not going to the war. We're not going to the army." So he says, "Ey bazeh, komm, mit machen Likud." And right over there, and this gemacht Likud, that was, he never lost an opportunity to make a Likud. Subsequent to that, on the road, this was a very impactful trip for me. On the train back, not Silus and but mostly at Silus, and discussions, and I'll never forget that train ride. I go on the train a lot, but I'll never forget that train ride. And I'm thinking to myself, here I am with this, I was 16, 17, he was 17, 18, and we're in the bowels of New York, and we're talking about Atzilus, we're talking about the Rebbe. I want to read to you, but I'm going to take a drink first. I want to read to you a little excerpt of a letter. I found a few letters from Fitch after, as I mean, I had them always, but I looked them up afterwards, and I shared them with the family, and whoever translated it in English, thank you. It was in the Kvar Chabad in Hebrew, but I want to read to you in English in his words, even though it was written in Yiddish. He says, so this is in his voice. David actually played his voice, but these are his words. It's a long letter. By the way, 2 things. Fitcher thought much faster than he spoke. And his words were always stumbling, and his thoughts were always stumbling one on the other. He communicated well, but the fact is his mind was far, far ahead. I can only imagine how it took him to write a letter. Amazing. I still look at the writing. I can't read it very well because it was, but still. Anyway, this is one of the letters. So he says to me like this: aside from the fact that you are a student of the Rebbe, you should want the Rebbe to know what is going on by you. And I'm sure he shared this with Talmidim throughout the years. Simply, when the Rebbe will tell you what to do, you will know with certainty that this is the best way and this is what Hashem wants from you. I'm writing you these words because I want what is best for you. You don't have to fret. Okay, that's got to be one of the translator's words. You don't have to worry about if the Rebbe will answer your question in one way or the other. All will be for your best. Somebody earlier said, Fitcher was a personification of a chassid. Wir reden am Verbrengen, den chassidische Jiden von Amalek Jahren, von Amalek Rabbein, but we, with Fitcher, what we had was no less, if not more, each and every moment of his life. I don't recall a moment that we ever spoke that the Rebbe wasn't part of the conversation. And he told us we were fortunate for about 35 years, I think, 34 years, as I've so it was 34 years, that he farbrenged every kinnis hashluchim, the class would get together, and we would farbreng together, and it was the highlight of the year. That's when I got to meet my nephews, Levi, Aaron Baruch, and the others, and it was, and the last one I want to read to you is a short one. This was a Mitzvah Shabbos letter he wrote. This is when he was in Miami. These letters he wrote, he was a shliach with others in Miami, and I think it was Lamed Gimel Lamed Daled. And he writes that, I am sure you are very tired from a whole day of, it was Shabbos Varchen, saying Tilim and Stuppenzach Bar Maftir, being by Farbrengen. I'm sure right now you are by Chazara. And he says, but I'm also very tired because I was a whole day doing Miftzoim on Friday, and Shabbos we farbreng, giving an abyssal mashke, the only part of it that I don't believe is an abyssal. But he says you have more energy because you were by the Rebbe, you were in the Daled Amos of the Rebbe. And we're here where we are because we're doing what the Rebbe wants us to do, but nevertheless, you're still in the Daled Amos. I will close with this. Recently, when I was by the oil, I've been there a number of times, but I went to visit Fitcher. And as much as David alluded to earlier that this is not a sad occasion, but to a certain extent it is a sad occasion. We lost a friend, his chaverim. The family lost a father and a grandfather. I don't consider myself an emotional person, but when I was by Fitcher, I was emotional. I miss him, and he was a very important part of my life and of our life. Baruch Hashem, he left us connections with the children and with the Aidens, and so we still have that. But at the end of the day, I do miss Fitcher. We all miss him, and like Sean said, Baruch Kitzur Ranu Sheknei Ofer v'B'Seicham, and L'chaim L'chaim.
Chaim L'chaim Shliach. Sure, we're going to hear now from a few more from family members, and then we'll continue for Brengen, and everybody will be able to share whatever they learned, whatever they want to learn more from him. Now I'm going to call upon my shloger, Rabbi Levi Raskin, to share a few words of memories, what we learned from the shler, what we can learn together. Rabbi Raskin.
Chaim. English. I was asked to come speak, so I'd like to take my time in introducing my brother-in-law, Chaim Itkin, to come share a few words. Right after. Okay. So, the Shver is when a very Chassidish Yid, he was a very Chassidish Jew, a Yid. He was very close with all his son-in-laws, children. He used to farbreng asach. There are a lot of stories he used to share. He was purim, he had a whole bunch of stories. Every year, purim, I buy him a lot of purims. Every year, the same stories again. Every Pesach, the same stories again. Everything, of course, with Rebbe, or connected to Rebbe. So one of the Geschmacka stories he shared was how when he was in Florida, the first year of Florida, or second year, I think it was first year, Lamadalad, he was in Florida, as a shliach, a bacher. So they made a big event, the Bachrim made a big event in a Yiddish lady's house. And they made a big soda. At this, and they invited freie people came to the event. It was before Shkia. They had they did tefillin. They, of course, did Megillah reading, and then that a soda. And they arranged the soda should be in a way that the Rebbe's hookup, it's going to end more like after that. People are going to at least be able to hear the Rebbe. They won't, not everybody's going to stay. At least they'll hear the Rebbe, and then they'll leave. It's going to be in Yiddish. They'll leave. At least they're able to hear the Rebbe's voice. And Kachave, it was a beautiful Suda. They're singing, etc. And then suddenly there's a hookup, so they made an announcement. Yes, now they explain what who the Rebbe is, etc. And everybody's quiet. They had the audio. After the first sikha, by the Nigunim, so big group, most people stood up and left. Then there was the second sikha, and by the second sikha, more people left. And then after a few sikhas, when it came time to the Maimer, there was no one there besides the Bachrim. And after, I think that during the Fabrengen, suddenly the Rebbe started singing Samul Chanashi. And when the Rebbe was singing Samul Chanashi, the people who were left in the house was just the Bachrim. So he said by the Maimer, he said we're all standing in the corner, everybody standing in their own corner, trying to protract in the Maimer. But besides this, there's also this old Yiddish lady. She was also there. And now that everybody left, she had a very big dog. And anybody knows my Shver, he didn't like cockroaches, and he for sure didn't like dogs. So the dog came out, and not the more the Rebbe Haipsachan Samul Chanashi. And the lady, when she hears, she's pashat onke ben vein mitren, hearing the Rebbe's koil. So when the dog saw his owner crying, he started barking. And onke even time jumping, and from all people, he went to my shver and jumped on my shver. Yeah. And my shver said, "Ich hab onke weinen." Sie weint, weil sie hört der Rebbe. Ich wein zu lieber Hund. So, when he was more than once, like for example, I met Rambam, Kidua, to know he would schadra a lot. So when the Rebbe came out with Rambam, Achim Pesach, Mem Daled, right before the Sikha, the Rebbe looked at him and asked him to say L'chaim, with his head, say L'chaim. And he was very zohir in Rambam. There were many times he would tell me in the day of Siyam Rambam. This year, actually, I don't think I missed even one day. It was a davar, he would say that very often. And Bechal, he always, like everybody was saying before, he was Yartzait. Remember his phone on WhatsApp. He wasn't, some people are not part of any groups. He was part of all the groups on WhatsApp. Yeah, on all the Zachen. But he didn't look at them. He looked at them when gewalt. He wasn't when gewalt. He used to look at them in the end of the day or in 2 days. Then he looked at them. A few years ago, he hurt himself like a good verbracht. And after farbreng, he fell and he hurt himself badly. And for over a year, he was in pain by night. He would wake up. And in the morning, he would say, so last night I learned this whole farbreng, and last night when I finished Rambam, he would tell you, he didn't wake up and stam and read a magazine. He woke up, he didn't go on his WhatsApp, didn't do anything, he was kashrus, in charge of kashrus at Pittsburgh. Besides the great thing of mitzvah kashrus that he really cared about, and he's very, very into it. So he also had to do hashgacha jobs, so he would hire people. But many times he would do it himself. He said he'd come back by supper and he was like, Levi, today I learned 4 dafim. I'm sitting on my phone. I did 4 dafim. I had hours. I just learned 4 dafim of Gemara. It was he would finish the whole Dvar Malchus every single week. Yeah, when I yid was a pashat given moli v'gadish. Like he would chazer. Rabbi Yisrael Friedman told him that if people would only know that Meir Itkin, pashat v'vuach gegangen and going with the sefer, that wherever he went, he was always with the sefer. Yeah, everybody knows Meir Itkin has a yid with l'chaim. That Meir Itkin had learned Torah against stuff. Yeah, I mean, any picture we have of the Meir is always with a sefer. He said, so Zabazach is the Shrer pashat given achzir shiyid left Rebbe. Then he keeps a random Sheikh Jaffer. Put the sechem now.
Shliach Levi, Chaim, please.
Chaim V'Bracha. Big thank you to the Jewish Children's Museum for hosting us so beautifully tonight. Thank you for so many people who come in from very relatives, from close by, from far away. Many mechutanim, friends, many talmidim, former talmidim, current talmidim. For the past few weeks, the parish will read all about Yosef, the treasures of Yosef. Very interesting letter of the Rebbe, printed in the back of Chelek Lamed of Kutas Sichas to Rabbi Greenglass. And the crux of the letter is, there's 3 different parts of Yosef's treasures that were hidden in 3 different places. 3 different people found them. First one was Kairach. And as eunuchs who are Einikach of Kairach, we do demand our Yerusha. And one part was found by him, one part was found by Antoninus Caesar, who was a Roman general, emperor, who was very close to Yehuda HaNasi, eventually converted to Yiddishkeit. The 3rd part was found by, will be held for tzaddikim when Mashiach comes. And the Rebbe dwells more in the spiritual part of it, and he says, my father-in-law, name is Yosef, the Frierdiker Rebbe, he, in America, is coming, and he has many, many treasures. Not just the physical treasures, but the spiritual treasures of Chassidus, and there's 3 different ways he affects America, he affects Chassidim. One is he affects them through giving them brachas, brachas kohanim. Someone needs a bracha, they're not well, they need a child, they need a shidduch, they go to the Rebbe and they get a bracha. And that's Korach, was a kohen, he gave his brachas, he had a lot of money, he was rich. Problem with Korach is he wanted more, but that's the first idea of how the Rebbe gives. Second idea that how a Rebbe affects people is through Antoninus Caesar. He was a Roman emperor, he was so rich, Gemara says, that he even had slime velefas, radishes and lettuce the whole year round. Him and Rebbe Nasi. That's how rich he was. And even he became a ger at the end of his life. He served Rebbe Nasi. That's so a Rebbe finds people who are Acher, Yosef Acher, and makes them into a ben. Makes Bali Tshuva. The third way he affects is, the third part is to be for Tzadikim Lasad Lavai. Mashiach comes, over about Chassidus, teaching Chassidus. And that's the third way the Rebbe affects in America. It says, my Shver, the Rebbe is writing to Rebbe Greenglass, is affecting America with all three treasures of Yosef. Well, it's very unique. I know other people have different versions. I just know my version I heard from my grandmother, Sima Itkin Yahrtzait, is that when her son was born, she wanted to give a name after her father, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, but he was arrested, and they didn't know for sure if he's alive or dead. They assumed that he was dead, but didn't know for sure if he's alive or dead. And she, they already had relatives who gave a name Yosef Yitzchak after the Frierdiker Rebbe. So, but they asked the Rebbe what to do, and the Rebbe said, you should give a name Nachin Shver, you give a name after my father-in-law, and if her father, speaking to her husband, Rabbi Itkin, if your wife's father, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, is still living, that is nishat, and it's not going to harm him because it's a name Nachin Shver, it's named after the Rebbe. And what's very unique, the Frierdiker Rebbe's last 10 years of his life were spent over here on the block of 770. My father, when he turned, I think, 10 or 11, he moved to the block of 770. And Taka lived to be the same amount of years as the Frierdiker Rebbe, in 69 years. And being the fact that he grew up in the block of 770, as his father asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, Valger in 770. He wanted to spend as much time as possible in 770. So on Motzei Shabbos, we had a big farbreng in Pittsburgh. And it's all online, you can look at it. And many people, they went through, at least on the men's side was online, not the women's side, and each one was saying our memories of Rabbi Itkin, 99% were the same. He was so chayistic, he was so lebedik, he was so freilich, he was so positive, he kasher in my kitchen, he, etc., etc. And one person who perhaps no one would really, I would have never expected, but I think he chapped in a kuda more than anyone else. And he said, I never saw the Rebbe. He said, I never saw the Rebbe, but I knew Rabbi Itkin, and for me, that was a Rebbe. And so there's many great ideas of a Rebbe could do. A Rebbe does this, a Rebbe does that. Rabbi Itkin does this, Rabbi Itkin does that, but for what he really personified, Kol Kulei, entirely was Rebbe. He has a story, many stories he says, when he's growing up with some of his best friends. Baruch Hashem, he was blessed with tremendous friends, and not just that, his friends continue. Secondary, the friends continue. We see many of them here today, Baruch Hashem. And he describes that one of his friends they were having many long discussions for many, many nights. So when they're 13, 14, about the connection between the Rebbe. Does the Rebbe care about every bacher? And they were walking by the Rebbe's, walking by 770 in the middle of the night, and the Rebbe's window was open for yichud purposes. It was always a little open. They were able to see the Rebbe in the night of yichudis. And then this particular friend of his started crying, and he said he finally chapped the inyan of Rebbe. So it went from to all extremes. I remember Father was saying one time how when he was first married, credit to my mother as well, says when they got married and they got a couch, he made sure that the couch should have a foldable bed. It should fold out. So they could always have guests over. In the first year, they lived in Crown Heights, every single Shabbos came out, there was a certain college student who came for a Begisha, he met him, and he stayed on the couch almost every Shabbos, and Baruch Hashem, your man. Right? It's very unique. I almost never saw him cry. I mean, of course, when his parents passed away, the only time you really saw him cry was when one of his friends in Pittsburgh, his son, was going through a very major issue, and came to our house all Shabbos afternoon. I've never seen him cry like that before or since. Even after that, the person left, he blushed for hours and hours. I think Baruch Hashem, the tears were payal, at least in Shemayim, because a very big shino happened. Reb Leibish Brafman was here before. He chazer's story. He was in Miami. My father was a bacher with many of his chaverim, and so the boys I think went to public school then, I'm not sure, and so they came Shabbos. Every single Shabbos they would come. They would have a farbreng in the house, and then as soon as they came out to Shabbos, 1 week there the bachrim were farbrenging, and the parents had left, and they went to a movie theater with the whole family. And the bachrim kept on farbrenging, and one of the bachrim couldn't hold it in, and he actually felt a little sick, and he actually he did a chazara on the carpet, on the rug, Persian rug. And they felt so bad, these two bachrim. So they came, him and his friend, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, and they both went and they found a store which rented carpet cleaning equipment. And they quickly went to the store, and they went and they started sweeping it up and then taking the soap and cleaning, and I'm not sure they knew exactly what they were doing, but they were successful in spreading this, internalizing all the stuff that came up into the carpet. And they're trying, it's late Matzah Shabbos, and the door opens up, and the Brachman family walks in, the parents walk in, and they see two bachrim with a big carpet cleaning machine trying to clean the carpet. And they looked at them and they understood what happened. They started laughing and laughing, but he says, that was poil more than anything else. If you could produce such bachrim which cares so much, this is Kedai, and Baruch Hashem, you see the period still today. Another interesting thing, he was very humble. He wasn't shy saying something that he think he could have done better. For example, he went on a trip to Russia, I think, with some of my aunts and uncles and they went to the Kremlin, and he said he was by the Kremlin, and someone said up there, hey, ata Chabadnik, probably some Israeli, hey, Chabadnik, oh, I forgot my tefillin in the hotel, I'm not going to get back till it's after dark, do you happen to have tefillin on you? And he says, L'tzari, I didn't have tefillin on me. And he felt so bad about it. Especially, he says, imagine for everything growing up and all the stories of Mesiras Nefesh he heard, what it would have meant for him to put on tefillin with somebody in the Kremlin would have meant the world to him. And he didn't carry his tefillin with him. And he bought an extra pair of tefillin, one in his car and one in his kashrus bag. He always had a pair of tefillin with him. He always had the yachai listed with tefillin. So he wasn't embarrassed to even learn from something which he thinks he could have improved. When he was in a good mood, he would say, one of my uncles, whenever we would drive anywhere, he said, at this corner, this story happened. At this corner, that story happened. I was with him in Miami, that story happened at this corner, that story happened at this corner. Many, many stories happened in many different places. And so I remember one place over here, down Bedford Avenue. His point is the window. See that the building has a lot of windows. When I was a kid, I was walking past there on the way to yeshiva, and I was counting how many windows there were, and I bumped into the mailbox, and it said, "Excuse me." And I looked. When I was living here, still in New York, in East Flatbush, and a friend of mine offered me tickets to go to the Siyum HaShas, and I didn't make a Siyum HaShas, so I didn't feel right going. Right, it's one of the reasons. And so I asked my father, what should I do? So he told me the story that was the day after the Yom Kippur War. So Yud Aleph Tishrei, there was a large protest outside the Israeli consulate in Manhattan, and tens of thousands of Yidden came, and so he went with the mitzvah tank and gang in Hamitzayim, the mitzvah tank. And he said, it didn't Mitzvah, but he says was the most beautiful thing to see was Pasha to see so many Yidden together in one place. Pasha the Gavaldige Zach Zen. He says, go for the Indian just to see so many Yidden together. I listened to his advice. I also brought my tefillin with me, and I walked in. A friend of mine, after hearing that last story from him about Moscow, what happened to him by the Kremlin. When I walked in, you have to take out all your bags. Security. A friend of mine asked me, "You bring their Beinu Tam?" I said, "Get his wristen." I think maybe I'll get a worker over there. So Mishvarkish felt that there's so many Yidden over there who didn't put on tefillin. Baruch Hashem, we got a lot of tefillin, I think over 50, but Baruch Hashem. I didn't hear. Yeah, they have a learn chance. One of the stories when he was in Miami, he went with his friend, Mendel Bolasov. I'm not sure if he was here. Mendel Bolasov, he went, there was a college student who was very close to the Bachrim, the Shluchim, it was in Jacksonville, in the university. And so for Purim, he arranged a private plane to fly, the two of them, to fly from Miami to Jacksonville to make a Purim party in his dorm on campus, and then he'll fly back. And they'll get back in time to do mushpaim and everything else, and the Suda in Miami, Purim Day, hear the hookup from the Rebbe's farbreng. And it was in a dorm, in a large dorm room, and this Jewish student got many other Jewish students, and there were, I think, close to 50 Jewish students, and they were making a party, and they're laying the Megillah, and there's dancing. In middle, this big, tall person walked in, one of our neighbors, local neighbors from this neighborhood, walked in. He was very high, and high as a kite as well, about 6 feet tall, and he walked in, he was holding a knife. And he walked right over to the college students arranging the big Purim party. And he says in very flowery terms, "What are you doing bringing all these Jews here? I'm going to kill you." So he says, "It's not me, it's not my fault, it's those two guys over there." And he pointed to my father and the other bacher. So he turned around, he left. Meantime, the room emptied out, everybody ran away. And so he turned first to the other bacher. He says, "I'm going to kill you." He's towering over him. My father ran in front of him. He says, "Not fear. I'm with him together. If you kill him, you have to kill me too." So he turned away from him. "I'm going to kill you." And Baruch Hashem, by that time, the campus police came, and a few big policemen managed to control the person. It was a big fight, and he was known to have already history, with a lot of violent history, with drug history. It's any different, I said. KK didn't like those type of people. Okay, another story. During one summer, he's on Merkez Shlichus in Miami. They took their mitzvah tank, which you can see parked right outside of the mitzvah tank. So he has a long history of mitzvah tanks. Take a mitzvah tank, they park it in a RV park overnight. And a few minutes after they park, they get a knock on the door. And they open the door. "Hey, shalom aleichem, welcome." "Oh, I'm sure you saw the sign, the mitzvah mobile." He says, "Yeah, I saw the sign, the mitzvah mobile. I want to tell you that we're from the local KKK. And you have 10 minutes to leave. Or else you don't want to know what's going to happen." So he says, so then the person left. So my father didn't know what the KKK was. So his friend told him, "Look, quickly, let's go. He was a double Grossbaum. And he goes, my father, he was what, you should be nispal from what some guy tells us. We should be nispal. It's a lachasei. "No, we're going." And his friend got into the car, got into the driver's seat and left. Another thing is just knowing how to deal with people in the long term. There was a hotel where they wanted to, the chef came, he says, "Oh, we have to kosher all these equipment, including sheet pans and other equipment that you don't kosher usually." He says, "We can't really kosher these equipment, it's difficult." "No, we need it," and he was very rough about it. "Okay, fine, we'll see what we can do." And he told the person who was working for him, "Do a good job on this particular sheet pan." So the guy, he takes his blowtorch and he spends a good 10, 15 minutes on the sheet pan. It's curling up, it's turning colors. And he says, "You could do a little more over there, you could do a little more over there." In the meantime, the chef is standing behind him. His face is turning colors. "No, it's okay, we'll order new sheet pans." There's another local school in Pittsburgh called Hillel Academy, and they wanted to do milchik and fleishik in the same kitchen, and father walks in, he says, yeah, you have to build a new kitchen. You have to build a wall in the middle of the kitchen. It's too expensive, it's too difficult. Okay, no problem. We'll see what we can do. There was an old shul down the block, which had a kitchen. We'll use a fleishik kitchen over there. What about if it's raining, it's snowing? You'll be fine. You'll use a fleishik kitchen there. One day it was a big snowstorm, and it was impossible to carry all the food back and forth and back and forth. And it took and finally they said, you know what, it's too difficult. I think we'll do the idea of just building a wall in the kitchen, putting in a second milchik sink of fleishik and doing the kosher. The chef said, Rabbi Itkin, like, how do you do that? He says, sometimes you have to take the long route. Sometimes you have to deal with it. No, Iker is when you say Chayit and Alibai, it's not stories of Chassidim from Amal. It's not stories of Shmuel Munkes, of Zalman Zezmer. It's stories of us, of every single one of us. Every single one of us could be a Rebbe for someone else. Every single one of us could be a Dug Mechaya for somebody else. You never know what you say to who you say can make a difference to somebody else. And Mela, when you say the Chayit and Alibai, is when someone goes on Mila, they're not leaving you. On the contrary, now they got promoted. They could advocate from you from a higher level. Imagine your brother. He works as a clerk in the local city councilman. Then he gets promoted. He's a clerk in the local city, in the congressman. Then he's a clerk in the Senate. Then he's a clerk in so on and so forth in the president's office. And Aliyah means that you have an advocate for you from somewhere higher. Being as a whole purpose is there. With Tachtoinim, it's all about the Tachtoinim. So Mela, and the Chayit and Levi, was ein Freiliche Gute.
As my shwager mentioned before, how proud my shwager was of all the kids, the daughters, the Edims, and they really lived with all the Paulas, the shlichas, encouraging all the time to do more and more, and he shept a lot of nachas. Last place where he went on Yom Tov to spend time with the kids, and he had a lot of nachas. It was in Mansfield, Massachusetts, and I'll ask my shwager, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, to share a few words.
Chaim, l'chaim. Chaim l'chaim. I'm going to learn from my brother-in-law that I should like to introduce now Sruli. Jokes aside, it's true. Whenever the Shver came to Mansfield, everyone said here that everybody felt like they were his best friend. And each time he came, he made a bunch of new best friends. And Abba Yoim is someone in Texas, whenever he says L'chaim, he either says L'chaim, or he says a Rabbi Itkin L'chaim. It's emes. In Chitas this week, Yaakov Avinu benches his children. He had 12 children, 12 sons that he benched. And he could have just said simply, you're all gebenched. Hamal Chagoyel, some nice bracha. But he took the time to give each and every one something specific for them. The beautiful thing about the Shver, Zaidi, Ta, where's Baruch? Is that to every single person, he made sure to talk to you in what you were interested in. Whatever you were interested in, that's what he spoke to you about. And every time he came to visit, he made sure to call afterwards to thank you for coming, to ask how the ride was, to see how things are going on shlichus. Do you have money? David? I think we keep on saying, one thing we can learn from tonight and on is to always look at other people and say, what can I say to this person to make them feel better about themselves? Anyone who knew my shver knows that he always found something to say to you to lift you up, where you were. He remembered something about you from last week, last year, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, something about you to lift you up. So l'chaim, I think it's a very practical, there's simcha things on the table. Everyone has such beautiful things to say. But one thing we can all do is when you meet somebody, lift them up the way they are and bring out the specialty of them. L'chaim, l'vracha. And without further ado, Shuli, please come up and tell us how we're going to have this galus now. And we're going to be together with the shver farbreng tonight. L'chaim.
A lot was said. I'm walking the Dalam all the time. I don't have much more to add. I can say on a personal note, I definitely miss my shver very, very dearly. Think about him a lot, miss him. He was almost, let's say, like a second father to me. I loved him very dearly. And Chaim, I very much appreciated his, I would call it pikchus. Always knew, as Yossi said, how to make somebody feel good and how to uplift them. Always knew how to navigate different situations. Like Chaim said with the kashrus, I always used to he always used to ask me about my shlichus and how to navigate different situations and who to talk to and what to do. And he gave me a few very, very valuable pieces of advice that really were very valuable. I remember he, during COVID, was one of my best times ever. For me, COVID was absolutely awesome. Why? Because campus, I'm a shliach on campus, upstate, and campus was closed. And then basically my wife and I, with the whole family, we moved in 2116 in Pittsburgh for like 6 months, totally moved in. And every single day, we used to wake up in the morning, go to mikveh, or not, he had the key, so it was not officially. We used to learn together, L'Kutei Torah, Mamarim of the Rebbe. I used to daven together. We used to farbreng together literally the entire day for hours and hours and hours. We used to learn Chassidus, then we used to daven, we used to learn Nigla, we used to go on a walk, we used to farbreng. I loved it. It was, for me, a very connecting moment. I remember things that he would tell me. He was like, Yisrael, when you go on shlichus, don't get carried away with all the big programs. And Baruch Hashem, we're a big Chabad house with a lot of people coming through, and there's a lot of big, flashy things that you could do with a lot of big numbers and a lot of big things. He's like, the ikr is take a few students and connect to them and be with them and like adopt them. And they should be like, your people, take 5 people, and they should be your guys, and totally gives sich iber zu say. On that note, I can't not mention. He used to tell me about when he was in Richmond, Virginia, before he came to Pittsburgh, and he also over there dealt with campus a little bit, right? If I'm not mistaken. One of the students that were there at his house, that he was mekarev, slowly used to come, used to farbreng with them, used to learn with them, and he said that the moment that the student said that the moment what clicked by them, what made the change, what made them decide that they're to take the jump into the deep end and to become fully shomer Torah mitzvahs and etc. What made it for them was that when they were in Rabbi Itkin's house, they were playing ball together, and it was a ball with aleph beis. That Chani was a little girl, and Shana was also existing, or not yet, I don't know. And the shver would throw the ball, from one kid to the next, and teach them aleph beis that way. And as they were playing, he threw the ball also to the guest that was by him, and he said the way he felt then he was part of the family, that's what made it. The way he felt that he's not just somebody coming by, rather he's ufkahatit, he's one of us. He's one of the way that he felt that he was loved and accepted like an Egener. That's what made it. And today, Baruch Hashem, he's a shliach, has on campus in Pittsburgh for many years. Rabbi Weinstein, and I could say definitely for myself I felt like I was totally, loved, precious, and part of he used to call me I felt the care, the real. I don't have words to describe it, but the emissa feeling of, we're one. You're mine. So l'chaim, v'chayit in the liboim. For me, what things that when I think about the shver, besides for obviously his kashrus, and besides for obviously his, like everybody says, his freilichkeit and his positivity, and like Levi mentioned, for me the shver learned a tremendous ton. You used to all they have chavrusas in Pittsburgh. I learned with them a ton. Like I said, during COVID, and it was geschmack. But I would say that another nekuda is his redivus achar shalom, his avos Yisrael, and he always would navigate me, and I would also see it in himself, is trying to make sure that there should always have avos Yisrael, and always have shalom, and always. So liba menachem and l'chaim.
Shliach, everybody who shared. The dvorim hayotzim min halev, nechnosim min halev, and now we'll continue real farbrengen, the way my shver love to do. So we'll invite everybody to sit around the table, l'chaim, and we should zecher b'korov mamish. So today should be a kitzur v'lana shech offer wo b'secham. Wir gehen zusammen mit dem Rebbe zu Yerushalayim. L'chaim, l'chaim. Gib mal eine.